Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about right now is why getting back to basics in the kitchen is so important, okay? And this is, cooking, okay. I put out a video earlier about my favorite recipes, and I cook from scratch. Okay. Not only is it cheaper, but it's also healthier for you and yours. Big Food is lying to you. Okay. And I'm going to get into detail on why. But before I do, hey there, my name is Autumn, and on this channel we talk about prepping, we talk about homesteading, we talk about gardening. We also do like current events. On my second channel, ABG Prepping, I get into more of current events, stuff like that. I also have a Patreon. The links are in the description box below. So, Big Food is lying to all of us, okay? Seed oils, toxic hormones, artificial dyes, okay? They're not good. Um, so there are foods that are banned in other countries, American foods that are banned in other countries. Breads, for example. We eat sandwiches, right? And what happens? You feel bloated. You're like, God, I can't move. But when you go to other countries, like say Italy, okay, these you can eat these foods and not feel bloated. Why? You can eat pizza, not feel bloated, pasta, not feel bloated, baguettes, not feel bloated. Here's the truth, okay?
We don't call it sprayed with folic acid. We call it fortified or enriched. I mean, think about this, that
So I shouldn't eat anything white, is what you're saying.
not unless it's organic, right? Because organic, even some organics still say fortified or enriched. You want to get organic sources that are not fortified or enriched. I hear people say all the time, it's crazy, Gary. I eat a sandwich here and I blow up like a tick, or I have a slice of pizza here and I blow up like a tick. But I went to Italy for 14 days and I ate like a pig. I ate pasta, um, I ate flour, I ate French baguettes, and I was fine.
Right.
Well, because that bread doesn't have, first of all, seed oils, and it also doesn't have high amounts of folic acid.
Let's talk about milk. Every single one of us have milk in our homes, whether it's regular milk, lactose-free milk, powdered milk. Okay, how bad is milk? Well, cows in America are given something called RBGH. Okay, and it's a wonder why our milk is banned in 25 plus other countries. So here's why we shouldn't be drinking this, but it's so hard to get away from it, right? Our kids drink it for cereals. You mix it with chocolate milk or strawberry milk or whatever the case may be. We use it for cooking. Okay. The US government tried to come down on the Amish for raw milk, which was a big no-no. Raw milk, you're better off with that than the overly processed bullshit. That, you know what I'm saying? But take a listen to this.
Our milk is banned in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and the EU due to a synthetic hormone called RBGH that was given to these cows so they would produce more milk. Word got out about this and people raised a fuss and they stopped drinking milk. Eventually, a lot of these manufacturers stopped using it. It's very cool that we can make a difference.
Now let's talk about the ever-loving Twinkie. Never, this is America's favorite snick snack. Okay. I love a Twinkie. I'm not gonna lie. So says my ass. But anyway, it's banned in Austria. It's banned in Finland. It's banned in Norway. Why? Artificial dyes, yellow 5 and red 40.
So, as a young kid, one of my favorite snacks in the whole world that was forbidden in my household were Twinkies. Today, I have perfected the recipe. Now we're going to make our icing. Sugar, you're going to add your egg whites, combine, hot water. We're going to stir this until it gets to 160 degrees. A little bit of vanilla. You need this flavor in here, that fake frosting flavor. Going to incorporate that. One stick at a time. Beautiful. This looks like a freaking Twinkie on steroids. Really filling it up here because I want those three distinct holes. And look at this with the filling in the middle. Hmm, beautiful. Let's go.
Who here drinks Mountain Dew? I do not. Why? Because it looks and tastes like antifreeze. So it's also illegal in Europe and Japan. Why? Because it contains something called BVO, which destroys your skin and your nervous system. Okay. But they still sell it in Europe, but without the BVO.
Did you know Mountain Dew was banned in the EU? It's because it contained the ingredient brominated vegetable oil, which contains bromine. Mountain Dew uses oil-based flavorings, which don't mix well with water. Bromine helps the oils dissolve and stops them from separating. Bromine has been linked with negative skin and nervous system effects, so it's been banned as a food additive in the EU. In order to sell the drink in the EU, they made a brominated vegetable oil-free version. But at least in Ireland, the drink never gained much popularity. And since 2020, the US version also does not contain brominated vegetable oil.
Now let's talk about ground beef, prepackaged ground beef, by the way. It's like a pink slime. It's an additive used to reduce the fat. The result, the meat gets exposed to citric acid. Yeah. Does that scare you? Just wait.
Citric acid is probably the most common ingredient in packaged food. Everything from like canned tuna, crisps, chocolate bars, drinks, even meat. They use it to preserve the color because if you didn't know, meat starts going gray as soon as it gets slaughtered. You might think because of the name citric that it comes from fruits like limes, lemons, and even oranges. And once upon a time that was true, but not anymore. And that's because a loving, caring, humanitarian company called Pfizer started mass producing citric acid in 1919 using a mutant strain of black mold. And yes, I'm talking about the same black mold that you see in damp houses, on walls, and things like that. Anyone who's had it knows that it's super dangerous, inflammatory, linked to respiratory, gastrointestinal, neurological, musculoskeletal issues. It's crazy. So we're talking about asthma, IBS, Crohn's disease, brain tumors, Alzheimer's, osteoarthritis, arthritis, fibromyalgia. Today's citric acid is made by feeding sugars from GMO corn to black mold, which then ferments and becomes man-made citric acid. It's also found in canned drinks, body lotions, makeup, everyday cleaning products, things like that. These days, everybody and their aunt has got an inflammatory disease of some kind. So it's good to keep an eye out on the chemicals that they put in our foods, because they might be one of the main reasons for why we're so damn sick. Anyway, drink your water, eat your fruits, and don't put anything in your body that God has not made. Safe.
F mac and cheese. Who has that in their house? Well, if you have kids or teenagers, I'm sure you do. In America, they use the artificial dyes like yellow 5 and 6, causing hyperactivity in kids, increased cancer risk as well. But in Europe, natural alternatives are preferred like beta carotene and paprika. Different continents, different ingredients. Why? You be the judge. Froot Loops, they're banned in 30 countries. Why? You can only imagine.
United States Froot Loops, Canadian Froot Loops. The difference here is obvious. Look at this, guys. These Froot Loops contain artificial synthetic food dyes, red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and blue 1. All of these food dyes have been linked to behavioral issues in kids, hyperactivity, and attention deficit symptoms. So this is what Canadian Froot Loops looks like, colored with more natural dyes. What's sinister about this is that Kellogg's makes both of these products. There's no reason that Kellogg's couldn't sell this type of Froot Loops without these artificial synthetic dyes, which are pretty clearly associated with all kinds of behavioral issues and potential allergies in kids with asthma in the United States. But they don't. They sell us these Froot Loops, the hyper neon Froot Loops that are very addictive and very desirable to your kids. So this is a big reason that we're fat, sick, and unhealthy in the United States. The solution is simple. Eat unprocessed meat, unprocessed plant foods like fruit and vegetables. These food companies are making us sick, but we know how to get healthy.
So now, as avid coffee drinkers, who here has Coffee Mate in their house? It contains hydrogenated oils like trans fat, which is linked to the heart disease and diabetes. All right. But if that's not enough, take a listen to this. Okay, who's got pork chocks in their freezer? Okay. You thought it was harmless. Think again. And I know, because after watching this, I'm like, hun, go in the freezer and throw everything out. It's loaded with toxins, okay? Ractopamine, which is banned in 175 plus countries, growth hormones, and pesticides.
Pork is villainized primarily because it's called a dirty meat. Well, it's only a dirty meat because in many cases the farmers feed it garbage. The fat cell in an animal is where all the toxicity goes. So if an animal eats garbage, like if a pork is eating garbage, its fat cells are going to be filled with toxicity, which if you eat, you're going to ingest all that toxicity. So is pork a bad meat? Not if it's organic.
Skittles. I love Skittles. So I was a little perturbed at this one. Could something in a package be so damn toxic? Yes, it can be, thanks to artificial dyes.
Did you know that some candies in the US have different ingredients as the same candies in Europe? For example, Skittles in the US have 4 high-risk additives that are not found in the European version, including titanium dioxide, which is actually banned in Europe. Froot Loops also have 4 high-risk additives that are not in the European version. These additives include yellow 6-lake, red 40-lake, blue 1, and butylated hydroxytoluene. US M&Ms feature 3 high-risk additives that are not found in the European version. And these additives include yellow 5-lake, yellow 6-lake, and red 40-lake. A big reason for the discrepancies in the ingredients of the same products across international borders is because the regulations in the European Union are a lot stricter than the ones in the US. But all hope isn't lost. There's actually a California bill that aims to ban harmful substances, encouraging companies to reformulate their products without ingredients like titanium dioxide, red dye 3, and many others.
And last but not least, my absolute favorite one on this list is maraschino cherries. Yes. Have you ever had a maraschino cherry that's been marinated? Yeah. And oh dear God. I'm going to say this, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Marinated in moonshine. It is just one cherry, and you're floating. I'm just going to say. They may seem like ordinary cherries, but you know that's far from the truth. Okay? Just saying. Ciao.
The maraschino cherry has sat upon the tops of sundaes, swam around in cocktails, and been suspended in jello molds. Wealthy Americans brought preserved maraschino cherries over from Europe, and Oregon farmers wanted to compete. The problem with this particular cherry, the Queen Anne, was that it spoiled quickly and basically turned to mush when undergoing preservation methods. So a professor from Oregon State University created the preservation process that's still used today. Oregonian food scientists piggybacked on this recipe and created a process that included bleaching the cherries so that they could be dyed unnaturally bright colors.
What?
Cherries aren't naturally that red. Maraschino cherries do have 1 or 2 legit purposes. For example, they're good on sundaes and a key ingredient in a Shirley Temple. However, keeping multiple jars stashed away for snacking probably isn't the best move. By the time they reach the jar, they're no longer really cherries.